Welcome back to the Knit Crowd as well as Yarnspirations.com. I'm your host Mikey. Today we're going to work on this pattern. This is the Mighty Mitered Knit Pillow. Say that 5 times fast. What we have is we have some miter squares that are put together. There's a total 8. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you have the reverse side of 1, 2, 3, and 4. Miters are really quite easy to do. It's only a 1-page pattern because it is that easy, and I'm going to explain this concept in a way that is a lot easier for you to be able to manage, because the reality is that this really is a very simple idea and it's just a matter of following through to be able to finish your pillow. In being able to do this pattern, what's happened is that we have a square that is mitered. So we have, and we start off with the thickness of the square. So we start off with the total distance of one side all the way back up to the other. Okay, so on the knitting needle will be this entire section right here. And as we knit, we go a certain amount of stitches and then we do a center decrease where 3 stitches just become 1, and it happens to be in the maintaining right down the center line like you see here. So this is an example of a mitered square where 4 of them are been sewn together in order to create the look that's in the center pillow. But how do we determine the distance that is on here when we're going to knit with this? It's actually really quite easy, and it's a matter of understanding that this pattern, that one row is that we knit, and in the next row we do the center decrease, and we keep alternating that. Now the nice thing about it is that when you start here you have the complete all the stitches, but as you work up you're eliminating in the center, so you have less and less to work with. So if you look at it from this perspective, you can see that it gets more and more narrow on the knitting needles as you transition up to the corner. So in doing this pattern I realized one thing. You need an odd number in order to make this kind of idea work. So for example, it's gonna tell you, and it's gonna say to start off with 97 stitches. That's gonna be on the beginning. That's an odd number. So it can be 99, it could be 101, it could be 103. It just has to be an odd number if you want to change the size of these miter squares. So if you have an even number, this will never work for you. So what's gonna happen is that we're gonna go a certain amount of stitches, okay? And in this case it says to go 47. So we're gonna knit 47 and then we're gonna do a center decrease, and once we do that decrease there's gonna be 47 going on this side. So the next row then we just knit all the way across. We don't have to worry about counting, but when we come back in the next row, instead of knitting 47 we knit 46, and then we do the center and 46. Why are we doing that? Well, we're eliminating 1 stitch on either side of the center line every time we do the center decrease. So if you just did it here and you were on 46, the next line you'll just knit, and the next line that you start you'll do 45, center decrease 45, and then the next one's knit, and the next one that will be 44, center decrease 44. So you have to be able to count the first ones that you're going across to get the center line, and then the rest of it you don't have to count as you get to the edge, just like so. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you a smaller example on how to do the miter, and it's a really quite an easy way to figure things out. And I also will share with you on how to change the size. If you want to come up with your own stitch counts, I'll share with that as well. So if you want to change your sizes of miters, you have to think about odd numbers. So like you can do 33, you could do 35, 37, it doesn't matter. So once you have all of them cast on and it's an odd number, you subtract 3 cast on. So just subtract it on paper. So if you had 33 and you subtracted 3, it gives you 30. So you take that new number and divide it by 2, which gives you 15. So if you had a miter square just like you see here, this is exactly it. I had 15 going across, I do the center decrease, and 15 going on. That was with starting with 33. So it's just a matter of understanding on how to do that. I have a calculator on how to figure that out as well. If you want to enter in the number of odd numbers that you have, I will tell you that. So you just have to think about it's progressive. So you knit 1, then the next one is subtracting 1, and so forth. So let's just do a cast on, and let me show you a smaller example on how to do a miter. So in today's pattern we're going to be using a Caron 1 pound yarn, and it has 3 different balls because there's 3 different colors. You can change the colors combinations to whatever you feel. This is really quite sharp though, I have to say. It's using a 5mm, and it's saying that it's 24 inches. So when you're going to measure, it's 24 inches from the tip all the way the cord to the other tip. We do not go in a complete circle. Remember that the cord is just holding the work as you're getting the distance across. So instead of having really long knitting needles, all the work is being held onto the circular knitting needles onto the cord formation. So let's begin, and what we're going to do is that we're going to start off, and I'm just gonna show you just a smaller example, but you can follow the pattern. It still gets the same thing. So you're going to create a slip knot. Remember, there are slower tutorials available on how to do the basics as well here on our channel. So we're going to create that, and we're going to then do the mount. So you can either cast on 97 as per the instructions, or you can keep it in an odd count because I'm just going to do a smaller example. So to cast on, I'm going to insert the needle into the loop so it's in behind. This whole thing is a garter stitch. It's just a knit stitch back and forth, and I want to put the yarn into my hands. Again, the way you hold it could be completely different, and we do have slower tutorials on how to hold the yarn here on our channel. So we're gonna wrap and throw that yarn up over the back, and we're gonna just bring it forward. Now I'm going to put that loop onto this knitting needle that I'm tapping, and I'm just gonna slide up, and I'm going to see how I'm rotating it and just slide it on. Okay, so let's do it again. So in, we throw up over the back, we bring forward, okay, and then we just loop it like so. Okay, and I want to do, so you can either do 97 or you can do an odd number. In my case, what I'm going to do is I'm only going to do 9. I'm just going to do a very small example, and I'm just going to continue to cast on. Okay, so let's just cover the math while I'm doing this. So if I cast on 9 and I subtract 3, what does that give me? It gives me the number 6. So I take that number and divide it by 2, and that gives me the number 3. So this means that when I go to work on this, I'm gonna have 3 stitches, do a center decrease, and then 3 stitches on the other side. So we just gotta maintain that. So I got 1, 3, 6, and 9. So now I have my 9 stitches here on my knitting needles. So let's begin and start. So the first row, and you're gonna want to write this down on a piece of paper, it's just strictly knit. So every other row is just knitting. There's no decreasing at all, which I'll cover in the next row because it's not quite yet. So we just insert in behind, throw it up and over, and do the knit stitch. Okay, so because we're doing the knit stitch in every row, it's considered the garter stitch, just so that you're aware of that for terms of other stuff that you may be working on. So because you cast on 97, you're gonna have it working down the cord that you see me here that's currently empty, just because I have such a smaller example here on this. But this just proves that you can do the miter in any size when you keep it in the right multiples to start with. Okay, so let's begin, and that was row number 1. So if you had 97, you're just gonna knit across, and now we're just gonna transition and go and do the next row. So now my work is turned in my hands. So remember what I had for a count. So I had 9 to start. I subtract 3. That gives me 6, and now take that number, divide it by 2, which is 3. So I'm gonna knit the first 3. The next 3 will be together as the center, and then the final 3 is going to be the finish. So it doesn't matter how many that you had to start with, as long as it's an odd number and you do that math, then it will tell you how many is there. So on the crochetcrowd.com for this particular pattern, I have put a calculator there just in case you want to change your miter sizes. It will tell you how many stitches that you have before the center. So we're just gonna knit the first 3 as you normally would. And I do have this written down off camera that you cannot see, so I'm keeping track, and I'm knitting the first 3, and now the next 3 are going to become the center decrease. So how you do that, a center decrease for the miter, is that you take the next 2 and insert your needle. It's like doing a knitting 2 together. So take the needle and insert it into both of the loops of the next 2, and just slide it up over top right off onto this knitting needle that I'm tapping. You're going to knit the next one like you normally would, but wait before you continue. So just slide that up. The last 2 that you just slid over, you're going to take the other needle and you're gonna go up and over that first one. So those 2 just became part of that one. So as you see, 3 just became 1. So then see, you have 3 left. So in keeping with the stitch counts, it's right. So you had started with 3, you did your center decrease, and then you're finished off with 3. So as you turn your work then around, then we start the next one, and so every other row is just strictly a knit stitch. So you just go in and you knit. Okay, so you get a break every other one that you don't have to worry about counting too much. So it's just a matter of getting used to this kind of concept, And I found with myself is that I was really quite amazed on how easy it was when I thought about it. I've seen miters all through these years. I thought it was a lot more harder than it truly is. So if this is just a knit row, it's the next row that is going to be another decrease. So last time I did 3 in a row and then I did the decrease. So how many do you think you got to do this time? Well, if you said the answer is 2, you're right. So let me just reposition. So I'm going in, so I'm gonna knit the first 2. So 1 and 2, and so then the next 3 are going to become together. So insert into it and capture both of these, okay, and just slide it up over. Okay, just slide it up over. Now it's holding. You're gonna knit the next one, and then you take the 2 that you just slid up over and slide it over that first one, and that just became 3 to 1. Okay, and then see, you got only 2 left. So you started off by knitting 2, you did your decrease, and etc. So then once you get that done, just turn your work. What is the next row? If you said just knitting, you're right. So the next row you just knit. So you see that? So you only have to really think about it every other row. So this allows the pattern to catch up with you in order to get that perfect 90-degree turn that you want to do. So if you want to change your colors, it's just exactly how you would do it just conventionally. We do have the tutorial on how to change colors at the end of the or beginning of the rows, and it's just really quite easy. So this next one here, okay, this time it's only knit 1 and then you're going to do a decrease. So knit the first one. Okay, these 3 just became 1, or these next 2 just became 1. So put it in, slide it up, knit the next one. Okay, slide the first 2 over. Make sure you actually catch it. I want to make sure I catch all the strands as I go. You want to take your time to some degree. I'm kind of rushing here on camera, which is not helping me at all, let me tell you. So yeah, so there you go. So I'm just gonna just slide it up and over. There we go, got it. And then I'm gonna knit that last one. So you want to take your time. If you rush like I am, it's not gonna work out. Now you have 3 stitches left, and remember that you just did a decrease, so the next one is just a straight knit. Okay, and then finally as you get to the very edge, okay, so you got 3 on there, guess what you have to do? You have to do your decrease. So it's your final decrease, so going into the first 2, slide it up and over, and then knit the next one, and then slide those other 2 up, and you're left with the 1 there, which is your very final there. So you can see now you've just got a complete square, just like see. So you started off thicker and then you got smaller and smaller and then ended up at the point. So that's how you do the miter square.